Hi, on this video I'm going to show you how to set up smiby in PSCAD for use with gridmo. Let's switch to PSCAD. On the screen right now I've got a WEX solar model which is connected to an infinite source, this r=0 block over on the right hand side. I want to use this model in PSCAD, so I need to use and set up the smiby block. Smiby is gridmo's representation of the external grid, and it interfaces with our software platform to apply things such as voltage steps, frequency steps, angle changes, or control command changes. One of the first steps of setting up a PSCAD model with gridmo is adding smiby. I'm going to take you through that process in this video. First thing to do, on the left-hand side in the WEX Solar workspace, or your workspace, click the little plus, and then click the little plus next to definitions. Right-click on definitions and go import from file. You want to select the smiby_pscadv5.psdx file. To find that file, look in your models/inputs folder, and inside the gridmo folder, you'll find that file. Click open and you'll have a little smiby here appear on the left-hand side. Right-click on smiby, go copy, right-click and go paste, and smiby will appear. Now, smiby replaces the infinite source representation. We're going to move that out of the way, and we'll use Control-D to disable it, and we'll plug us in there. All right. First thing, we're going to configure smiby, and then we're going to configure the control channels. Right-click on smiby and go Edit Parameters, and we'll set up the infinite source representation for our generator. In this case, this is a 345 kV connection, so I'll set 345. The apparent power base, which is used for the per unit calculations, I'll leave as 100, so it matches my PSCAD model. This is an Australian solar farm, so frequency is 50, and the rated active power of this project is 175 megawatts. As for ID and IQ bases, it depends a little bit. Some people have different preferences as to set different NSPs throughout the world. In this case, I'm going to use 175 megawatts as my ID base, meaning ID, or active power current, of 1 PU means maximum power as per rated power. And for reactive current base, I'm going to actually use 200 in this case, 200 being the inverter base. Under initial conditions, you can set the initial infinite bus voltage or infinite bus angle. You normally won't have to set these because these will be set by the gridmo platform. Likewise, for set external impedance, though it is good practice to set your SCR and XR under your minimum case here, for example, an SCR of 8 and an XR of 5 is set like that. Leave these external controls as no for now. Gridmo will override them when running. Under control, we don't need to change anything here. This will be changed by gridmo at runtime. Exactly the same under external grid control, controlled by gridmo at runtime. The channels requires a little bit of setup though. Enable, disable, right now let's let them all disabled. The scale when enabled and defaults when disabled are important. Most of gridmo's templates are set up with active, reactive power commands or control set up on rated P-base, i.e. a value of 1 means, in this generator, 175 megawatts. A value of 0.5 means half of that, or 87.5 megawatts. Right now, for scale for this, we'll come back to it very, very shortly, but we will have to modify this, and we'll have to modify the defaults. Advanced gives you the option if you want to turn network frequency dependence on. Typically, you'll leave that off for SMIB studies. And gridmo, last thing is just make sure this smiby doesn't have an _1 at the end, and click OK. Okay, we've set up smiby for voltage, frequency, and angle, but now it's time to set up the channels. The channels we're going to use in this case, I'm just going to set up one as an example for you of the ones you may need to set up. If I right-click on my WEX Solar and I go Edit Parameters, I can see active power set point, reactive power set point, and voltage set point. They're normally things we would want to vary or change throughout a PSCAD simulation, and therefore we need to use a channel for that. I'm going to use Control-W to draw a wire. I'm going to draw a little wire down on the bottom of the control channels thing. Go Components, and then I'm going to grab this little tap and then rotate it so it sits like that. Going to draw another little wire off, and this gives me Control Channel 1. I can call this now whatever I want. I'm going to call it, let's do Channel 1P. command, like that. Now, if I go right-click, edit parameters, and I call this active power set point ch1p command, I've now essentially connected those two together in the PSCAD world. I can now use control at time I want, val that I want, ch equals 1 to change output channel 1 within gridmo. Okay, last thing we need to do on this example is set up the defaults and scale. Right-click on gridmo smiby, click edit parameters, and we're going to go to the defaults when disabled. The WEX solar model that I'm using here is a 175 megawatt, 200 MVA solar farm. What that means is a value of 1 means 200 megawatts, but the Pmax is only 175. 175 on 200 is 0.875, so we'll set the channel 1 default when I don't set any things to 0.875. This means that when I'm not controlling that channel, it will default to ask the solar farm for max power. Likewise, the scale I want to apply is also at 0.875. Why is that? Well, if I give an output value of 1 inside gridmo, inside, for example, control ch equals 1, val equals 1 command, I want maximum power. I don't want to ask for more than maximum power. I want 175 on 200. So that means the scale I want to apply to that value is 0.875 or 175 on 200. Some of the other ideas of scale from some models we've seen, some models use kilowatts or megawatts, so they need to be scaled by rated P. Some models also for voltage control require volts rather than per unit. So the channel, if for example, channel 2 here was voltage, and I actually wanted it to be in volts, the scale would then be 345,000 for 345 kV. If you go to your inputs folder and your gridmo examples folder, you'll find example smiby config files there. Grab the 18 files, go back to PSCAD, right-click on your workspace and go Show in Folder, and paste those files there. These files do not have to be modified, they just have to exist right now for PSCAD to run. Go to Home and give the model a run. And you can see we're running down here. And that's it. We've set up a PSCAD model with gridmo smiby. Thanks for your time.